Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And I'm hyped because Chelsea have made another signing and I have the perfect person with me to analyze this signing. So I'm joined by Marco Messina. He's the founder of IFTV and he's also a Serie A analyst for CBS Sports, which is one of the biggest sports networks in the US, if you're not aware. So Marco, it's been a while. I know that we've talked for a while. We followed each other for a while. I'm super happy to finally get to meet you. And thank you so much for coming on the channel. How's it going?
Of course, of course. I love your stuff. I'm happy that we've been able to connect. It's been a long time coming. Unfortunately for me, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit sad because Koulibaly is leaving the league that I love. But as I've been saying, Chelsea was always like my team just because of like the Italian connection that we had. So if you had to go somewhere, Chelsea's not a bad place.
Ah, I didn't know that. So the more
Yeah,
you know, I'm
a
happy
little
to
bit,
hear that.
a little
Yeah.
bit, a little bit.
So guys, in this episode, I really want to dig deep into Koulibaly and do a Koulibaly special, what we can expect by the signing, and Marco, how you view the signing for Chelsea. And it's good to know that you know a bit about Chelsea as well. So first off, how would you rate his time at Napoli? What would you say his impact has been in the team?
He was unbelievable. For me, one of the best center backs in the world. At Napoli's a difficult place to play in. You know, they had some highs, they had some lows. They had the year with Maurizio Sarri where they nearly took down like the mighty Juventus and probably should have won the Scudetto that year, where he was sensational. Then Napoli also hit rough patches where, you know, difficulty qualifying for Champions League, fighting to get top four, all that kind of stuff. But his time has been incredible. And for me, like what I always say is like, obviously we talk about the player and the player is the most important thing. And from that, there's no doubts. But the reason why I loved Koulibaly is the person. Like he was just like that player that no matter what team you supported, you love to watch him play because he just seemed like such a genuinely nice guy and he embodied the atmosphere of Napoli and Naples. And he always said that he felt Napolitan, which is just crazy to even think about. So he's one of those guys that pulls on the strings of all of our hearts.
Yeah, I think that that's something that's almost underrated as well. Like how well do they fit into the dressing room? And obviously, he has his teammate Mendy right behind him in
Yeah.
goal. So maybe that could be something that's super positive as well because they can speak to each other. And that's a super good point. So kind of digging deeper into him as a player, what would you say are his main strengths? What can we expect from him?
So Koulibaly, the reason why I love him, as I said, he's a very team player. He is like zero ego. He's one of those guys that walks into the locker room and coaches love him, players love him because he's a silent leader that plays for the team. And I feel like he had to work with lots of different players, lots of different partnerships that were next to him, behind him, and he's always excelled. And all of his coaches always talked about how he became like their son, their figure that they looked forward into the locker room. That's my favorite part about him. Technically, he's so good on 1v1s because he's quick, he's fast, he's agile. He's really good on the ball as well, which is obviously super important. He's instinctive. He reads where the play is going, and he doesn't really back down. He goes for it. He loves to tackle. You know, it's one of my favorite parts about him as well. He's really that like perfect center back for me, and it's not like common because usually I am critical. I have all these things to say, but everyone who keeps asking about Koulibaly, it's like that guy that you love all the time. It's hard to find these sorts of qualities and to be
Mhm.
so great in these different areas. And I feel like Chelsea will provide him an opportunity, which he didn't have at Napoli, which is to really fight for the top, fight to win trophies and fight with
Mhm.
the best and play amongst the best. He had those at moments in Napoli, but there were other times where he had to be a little bit more on the back end and not always
Mhm.
fight for the top. And I think that's one of the big reasons why he's leaving Napoli now for Chelsea.
And do you think that that's going to push him to fight like even harder for the team, having those opportunities?
I think he tasted the win of the AFCON and he's like, he wants trophies. Obviously, it's deeper. You know, if you're a Napoli fan, if you're a Serie A fan, you know that Napoli has a lot of problems right now. Their president, they're losing, they lost Insigne. They're most likely losing Mertens. They could lose Fabian Ruiz and now Koulibaly, which is like four huge figures in the locker room for them. And part of it was the president trying to lower the fee, lower their salary when they were extending. But the other part to it is I think that even when Napoli offered him the more money, he didn't want to. He felt like he had to
Mhm.
move on. And I think that is what he wants. He wants to win. He's 31 years old. He's at this point where he needs this change of scenery. And I give him a lot of respect because Juventus was one of the teams that also wanted him, but
Mhm.
he wouldn't do that to the fans. Like, that's the connection that he has
Right.
to the people that he plays for. He represents something bigger, not just the club. It was the city. It was all that's on his back. So I think he's coming highly motivated because he's never really had the opportunity to really taste that sort of success, which is something that Chelsea can really offer him.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And one of the things that I'm kind of wondering about, I understand, please correct me if I'm wrong. I understand that Napoli tend to play in a back four, and he's
Mhm.
the left-sided center back of a back four. And obviously, Chelsea have played primarily in a back three/back five, if you. And I think that we're looking to kind of fill that Rudiger gap because he played as the left-sided center back. But I'm also thinking maybe Thomas Tuchel is thinking about switching to back four. But how do you think that he's going to slot into the system? Do you think that there's going to be any issues there, or any issues adapting to the pace of the Premier League?
Yeah, so I've said this before too because I got asked the same thing about the back three. For me, I mean, he played. I always watch him play in a back four. I don't even remember him playing in a back three at Napoli just because that's a style. And there's definitely been players that have taken time to adapt. Like, I know in
Mhm.
Italy, Senior was one of them. When he went to back three, he struggled a little bit, right? But great players know how to play in systems. They know how
Yeah.
to play alongside great players. Koulibaly strikes me as, even though I haven't seen him in a back three, I'm very confident that he's able to figure it out because he has those qualities. And I think along with Tuchel, who's a really great coach, who's shown it before,
Mhm.
Thiago Silva, who will be alongside him, all
Mhm.
these kind of players, they help him to get in that position. There's never been anything that shows me from his game that he can't play there. I mean, he's really good one-on-one. He's good on the ball. He can play the ball out of the back. He's fast enough. He goes into challenges well enough. So I think that he'll be fine. Maybe he'll have that little bit of adaptation period. It's kind of a toss up. We don't know. But I mean, if there was anyone that I'd be confident in figuring it out, it's definitely Koulibaly.
I feel like super happy because, to be quite honest with you and transparent with the viewers, like he's not somebody that I've really watched over the past couple of years. So I didn't know like so much about him, but you're really hyping him up, and it's making
He's the
me even
greatest.
more excited for this transfer. And it seems like it's a very smart piece of transfer business by Thomas Tuchel, who I think has admired him for a while, and by Todd Bowley. What do you think?
No, for sure. I mean, when he was linked to leave, number one, I wasn't sure if he would ever leave Napoli. That was my big surprise because he had rejected moves in the past. Because
Yeah.
again, he's the type that he values. He's always valued how he feels in a place and his connection to the fans more than anything else, more than it all. And now, like I said, for the mix of reasons why he has to leave, any club. When I thought about who can get him, now you want to argue, he's 31 years old, maybe no resale value in the future, whatever. That's one thing. But when you talk about the player Koulibaly, for me, he's been underrated in a sense because maybe the masses have not always seen him. He's not the one that's lifting a trophy. And when you lift a trophy, then all of a sudden everyone looks a lot better than maybe they even were based on the team that's been around him. So I think that's one of the reasons. That's one of the feelings from it. But he's genuinely one of my favorite players since he came to the league in like 2014, 2015. Whenever he came, that we always looked at him and said, all right, this is the guy. Like, this is one of the best players that our league has.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's yeah, no, I'm like lost for words because I'm just super excited about this now. And I don't what if you had to like put a finger maybe to dive deeper into maybe like more defensive metrics or
Mhm.
whatever, I was kind of reading and looking at, I don't know, like aerial duels won, and I don't know, tackles and interceptions. Is there one area that he's better at, or that he provides more coverage for than others? Do you see any weaknesses potentially that Chelsea should be aware of?
So I think that, I mean, whenever I watched him with balls in the air, he's always that one that likes to get in. He's not scared to put his body on the line and to be first to the ball. And I think a lot of the times when he does have to tackle, he's really good at anticipating and beating his defender to the
Mhm.
ball. He's had to go up against a lot of great number nines, and he's done really well in my opinion always. and he's usually quick to get to the ball before he has to make a mistake. And again, he's been paired with so many different center back pairings that definitely dictated if he had to be a little bit more defensive and he had to drop back, or if he can be first to the ball because he had someone covering him. The only thing that I keep thinking that could be potentially, one of the drawbacks is like, I feel like he's a type that he needs to feel good in a place. Like he needs to be loved by the fans. He needs to have that feeling around him of feeling supported. And just, I only say that I never watched him at Jank beforehand, but at Napoli, they embraced him as one. He was one of them. And it was reciprocal. They both loved each other. And I think that helped him because he realized he was representing something bigger than just the team that was on display. He's one of those types of players. So I think he can't be, a big fish in a small pond. Like they need to make sure that he feels good in this, that the atmosphere feels right for him and he feels important. So that's just my one little thing that I'm trying to push back on, because I don't want it to be that I just praise the guy completely and don't give any pushback. But that's the one thing I can think of.
No, but it's good because I want to make sure that people have like a holistic view of the player, and that's something to think about. Do you think that's something with the Italian league? Because I know Lukaku is kind of like that as well. So I don't know if it's something. I don't know, like if it's just like players who play in Italy, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the fans they can be warm at sometimes, especially in the southern clubs. They really feel their teams. Lukaku is a little bit different. Like if you would say the difference, like Koulibaly, in my opinion, like he would never go out and do like the interview like Lukaku did that time. Like he's had problems at Napoli, and he's even now, like he's never come out and done anything like that, even if he would have been justified to do so, let alone in his first year, in his first few months, and to say the system. Like I would never expect that from Koulibaly. It just doesn't seem like it would be in his nature. So yeah, I don't see that as an issue. And I think that, I know you mentioned like the intensity of Premier League, and like I love Serie A. Serie A is my favorite league in the world. I grew up with it. It's in my culture. It's in my DNA. Since I was a kid, my dad made me watch Serie A and just Serie A. But for me, Premier League, I have to admit, it's the top. It's the top league that's referred to as by everybody. But when you talk about defenders and you talk about defending, I still, and maybe I'm biased, but I still see us as the school for defending. So if you can make it as a defender in Italy through those tactics, and I feel like we've seen in the past a player that goes from Serie A to Premier League, I think it actually helps them. I think that that's one of the places that we can excel in. You want to talk about a striker, maybe it's a little bit different. It would be harder for a striker to go from Italy to England. But when you talk about a defender, I feel like we usually excel.
And why is that? What are the defending principles, or what do you think that defenders in Italy really experience to help them to excel in the Premier League?
So I'll use an example. I interviewed De Ligt, and De Ligt said his biggest challenge when he went to Juventus was that culturally in Italy, we prefer to win 1-0 than we do to win 3-0. He said, if I was at Ajax and we're winning 1-0, the fans wouldn't clap. The fans will only clap if you win 3-0. Here in Italy, I'm saying, here we want a shutout. They're happy with 1-0. 1-0 for them is like, it's an art. It's a beauty that that you don't concede, that you don't overexpose yourself. So the focus is very much on the simple little details of not getting yourself into a position where you'll concede goals. And I think tactically and the way that the focus is just more there. And obviously now in Italy, we're seeing a lot more goals, which has changed things. But generally, we see that that's usually the process. So I think it just helps defenders naturally.
That's super interesting, because I think, when Thomas Tuchel came in, what he did was really prioritize the defense. And obviously last season, Chelsea had many things that didn't go so great, and the defense wasn't as good as it was the previous season. But the Champions League record of just conceding 4 goals in the entire Champions League, and I think that with the structure of the back 3/back 5, he's really putting an emphasis on the defense, and I want to keep clean sheets. So that's something that maybe
he's gonna fit in at home then.
Yeah, he's gonna fit in at home, and that it really fits. this is something that kind of goes under the radar, but I'm curious to know your thoughts. Like, obviously, he speaks French, I believe English and Italian. Thiago Silva doesn't speak so much English, but he is fluent in French. So do you think that having a center back partner as well that you can speak the same languages could benefit both of them potentially?
Of course, yeah. And Thiago Silva, he played in Italy, so I'm sure he still has some Italian. But at the end of the day, I mean, the ball speaks for itself. For me, football's always been its own language. You know how to play or you don't know how to play, right? On a
Yeah.
small level, this is a stupid example. Obviously, it doesn't relate to professional football. But I grew up in Brooklyn. We used to have on a field, we had 22 guys. Everyone was from a different nationality. Most of them didn't speak English, but they would be your best friends because once the ball dropped, you all spoke it. You understood where
Uh,
you're supposed to go. So I don't think there'll be problems. But yeah, they got Italian, they got French. I don't know if Koulibaly speaks English. I wasn't sure.
I'm not sure. I looked it up online, to be
I
completely
feel like
honest.
I feel like he probably does. But either way, they got like 2-3 languages between them plus a language of football, so they should be fine.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that I think was like a really big miss when Rudiger left is his leadership. And he's somebody who kind of always knew how to tiptoe the line. Like, it's something that I really liked about him is that
Mm.
he knew exactly what he could get away with without getting a foul, without giving away a penalty, like a shove here or whatever. And he was somebody that when the going got tough and Chelsea were down, he would run up and sprint up the pitch and try to really bring things forward and pick up the pace. And I know that Koulibaly is a captain as well. And not only that, he's 31, he has experience. So how big of a factor do you think that's going to be? I saw this really funny video, or not funny, like I loved it. I think it was on ESPN that he was like literally pushing a defender back into position. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh yes, I completely forgot. Yeah, he literally just shoved
He
him
was
to go
really
where he
like,
needed
he
to
was
go.
like, "There's so much space." Boom. And
Yeah,
I
I
I
remember
I
that.
absolutely love that because I feel like that's the type of personality that we need,
Yeah.
especially with Rudiger going. But how much do you think that that's going to, um, I don't know, like, I don't want to say affect the team, but be a positive effect on the
Impact them.
team? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I was lucky. I watched Rudiger a lot when he was at Roma. So I
Okay.
know that I know the type of defender. For me, he's a little bit more aggressive. I think that he would go into challenges. I don't
Yeah.
remember what game was I watching of Rudiger. I think it was Germany, like I don't know, a couple weeks ago or whatever it was, and he was oh my god, he was a monster. He was going in like crazy. I
Yeah.
don't see Koulibaly as that. I feel like he's a little bit more thoughtful. But I guess like you said, like if the going gets tough or he needs to, like he's not scared to shove his player. I think it was Mario Roy in the Champions League, which is the clip of him just like completely pushing
Okay.
him. He's okay with that, and he does love to go up. Like I've seen him make these like deep runs forward at times because he's got the pace. He's super comfortable on the ball, so he's not scared to go forward when it comes. But I feel like he's such a thoughtful player. Like he really adapts to where he needs to be. Like yes, you'll get errors, like you'll see mistakes that he'll make, but they're not common, in my opinion,
Mhm.
from what
And
I've seen.
how is he, well, we typically don't think of center backs or defenders as goal scorers, but there are some that do score a decent amount of goals. How is he, I don't know, with his head or in front of goal?
I mean, I don't remember a lot. I think he scored a couple. I recently checked it out. I feel like I think we made a tweet on it. It was like 14 since he joined, which I guess maybe is like not that much, but he did score like one of the most important ones for Napoli against Juventus in a header that was absolutely incredible. Like if you've never watched this, you have to. It was the moment that could have pushed them to win that Scudetto. They beat Juventus Inter in, which is so
Wow.
hard to do, especially that year. You have to go watch this goal, and it literally gave the life and momentum to Napoli, which was incredible. Like for me, he's a big time player. For me, he always comes up in the moments that he needs to. And I just keep feeling that if he's surrounded by really good players, you're gonna see like the best of Koulibaly.
Yeah, and he's going to have, I think, one of the best defenders in the world, and Thiago Silva and Reece James and Ben Chilwell on the pitch, who I rate super highly. So I think that it's shaping up to be like a very exciting Chelsea back line. And I think that that seniority and that presence in the big moments really are important, because we've seen Chelsea win the Champions League, but in the Premier League, really, they haven't competed for the past 5 or so years. And it's a very young team. So I think that that experience is going to be super useful to have, and to know kind of like how to push for a title winning season, because that's something that we just have been super far away from in the past couple of years. But Marco, if you had to rate this signing on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it?
Without exaggerating, because I feel like I've hyped him up so much, and now I'm waiting to have egg on my face after this. But I don't know. I give him like an 8.5 out of 10. I'm trying to be conservative. I'm trying not to
So you're,
like
so
say
your
it's
head is saying 8.5, but your heart is saying like a 9.
my heart is saying 10, but I'm not gonna give it a 10. I'm not gonna give it a 10. I'll go with 8.5 and be fair, and say there's always room for something to not click, even though I don't see that happening at all. I see him as exactly the player that I've been watching for 8 years, 7, 8 years in Serie A, that I've admired, that I'm sad to go, and that I wish would never leave Serie A. But like I said, I respect his decision. I respect the reasons why he's going. He's given so much to the city of Napoli, and I know that will never end. You know, he's always going to feel that connection towards them, and yeah, I'm happy for him. Just as a guy that like really embraced the Italian culture. It's so beautiful to get players like that feel the respect, and will call their kids like that. He says like, my kids are Napolitan and I'm Napolitan. You don't get that very often in modern football. So when they make this decision, you know, you can't say anything else but respect it.
No, absolutely. And thank you so much for coming on the channel, for providing this insight. Guys, I hope those of you who are watching are super hyped about this transfer, because I certainly am. Marco, thank you, and let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah. I'm on Twitter, IFTV Marco. I appreciate it. Elizabeth, thank you so much for having me, for letting me speak about Koulibaly. Enjoy him, embrace him as one of your own. If I was anyone that's watching this as a diehard Chelsea fan, I would be very excited. Learn about him on the pitch, off the pitch. I'm telling you, you're gonna love him. Go read some of his like interviews and stuff that he's done in the past. Trust me, I think you're gonna fall in love with him just as I did.
I'm super happy, and we're gonna end it there, because I think that is the perfect note to end this stream on. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something. Get hyped, like Marco says, about this signing. And yeah, if you like this video, sub to the channel, give it a like, helps people find me. Please do it. And yeah, until whatever time you come back, I'm out. Bye.